I'm restarting my project where I'm moving this toolbox that we got off of Amazon that we've been keeping in the back of our truck that holds some of our setup equipment, like our blocks, our X-chocks, a bottle jack, things like this. Just keeps it all organized. And what we'd like to do, what we've been thinking of doing, is putting this box on the front of on the tongue where the batteries basically used to be. We've relocated our batteries inside the camper because they're lithium, and of course lithium likes warm weather, not hot weather, and then it doesn't like cold weather or freezing weather at all. So inside the camper is the best place for them, and it wouldn't fit up front. 3 of them wouldn't in the configuration that the trailer came with. So we thought about putting the batteries in here, but they'd be outside still, and didn't really solve anything. So we're taking all of our setup equipment or supplies and put it in this box, which we've used. But now we'd like to put this box on the tongue of our camper, like I said. And it measures 13 inches, looks like, across. Yeah, the bottom of it measures 13 inches. And the top here measures, well, 13 and a half. So we'll see what room we have up here. And in the front of our camper, this needs to go vertically too. I should have measured that. But to get us 13 inches, I think I'm going to have to move the tanks here as much forward, as far forward as I possibly can. And if I look down here, I see that I've got maybe a couple of inches to work with. I can actually slide the tray forward. Maybe a couple of inches at the most. And if I do that, of course, I won't be able to use my plastic cover anymore. Okay, so here's what I'm trying to do. You couldn't visualize it the last time I was telling you. I want to mount this toolbox here onto the front of our camper. I took the screws off that held the tank down, this tray, and I slid it forward about 2 inches. And I set my tanks back on here, and I can see that I set my toolbox in here, and indeed I can open it up, get to all my setup equipment. So all I need to do is mount the tray down, mount the toolbox down, and I have a vinyl cover for the tanks that we'll take a look at and see if they'll work before I do all this too. So this tank cover I won't be able to use at all. So here's the vinyl tank cover. I haven't opened it yet. I'm not sure what is in here. It's got a piece of wood and a piece of plastic. I'm not really sure what those are for. And looks like the tank cover itself made out of vinyl. These wood pieces must go inside this. I'm not sure I'll be able to use those at all. But here's the tank cover. It's just basically a thick plastic bag. Let me get it unrolled. So I added the tank cover. I put the tank cover on, and right now it's kind of wrinkled because it's in the box, but it's got a zippered portion right back here that you can still get to turn on and off the valves if you need to. I put it towards the back just so it doesn't splash. You know, the water won't splash from the back as easy. And here's the toolbox. My only concern is it's got this real long latch that I have to kind of squeeze it back to get it back to there. It'd be nice to have something shorter, or maybe put the latch out here. But nonetheless, that can be fixed. But I need to figure out a way to, well, I need to mount the tank tray down again, and then figure out a way to mount the toolbox. And I'll show you here the problem I have. So for me to mount this toolbox down, it is going to have to sit over top of this, our jack or our hitch bracket here on the back of the trailer. And I don't want that, of course, because then it'll be lower in the back and higher in the front, and probably this would punch through that aluminum toolbox anyway, so I don't want that. So what I think I'm going to do is get a piece of metal, like a square tube of metal, mount the toolbox, mount it here, and then mount the toolbox to that square piece of metal, basically to lift it up over top of the hitch hardware here. So I just need to figure out how high this needs to be, get two pieces of metal that I can mount the toolbox to. So Michelle complained about the tray being dirty looking and kind of worn out, so I painted it silver. It looks nice and clean now, and well, it looks like new almost, really. So I think I'll mount it right here on the front of the trailer, and then I can take the toolbox and mount it directly behind the tray in this area right here. Those two bars down there that were the old battery tray, I'm not going to use at all. That's no longer required. I don't need to take them out or anything, but I'm just not going to use them. So the first step is to mount this tray using the holes that are existing right there. Okay, I have the propane tank tray screwed down into the frame of the trailer. Now I'm going to test fit the box, the toolbox, see how it fits here now. So here's the concept. We're going to basically put the toolbox, mount it here behind the two tanks, and I'll show you what I have underneath here. So basically here's what we're going to do. We're going to mount these two pieces of strut material down, then I'll mount the toolbox on top of the strut material using a cone nut, which you can slide back and forth. And the strut material, I have to use a washer. I use a washer, and the strut material itself, it takes it up over top of the Anderson hitch hardware. So I should be able to mount these two down and then mount the toolbox on top of this. Okay, I got the strut material here screwed down tight. I just used a self-tapping bolt, I guess, or screw with a washer, fender washer, in 4 places here, attach it at 4 places. And I'm going to put these cone nuts in, and you can screw right down to that from the top down. So I'm going to go through my toolbox down into the cone nut, and these are fixed. They hold really well. Okay, so I finished the toolbox install here. As you can see, I just put some of these screws or nuts here, screws with the big head. Down through the toolbox and into a cone nut, which is on the piece of strut material here. And it's solid, it seems. So now I can put all my setup materials, you know, the blocking and everything, in this box. I use 5 nuts going down through, 2 on each side, 1 in the middle, and 2 on each side. So hopefully that's going to be strong enough to hold it all down. I can finish putting this back together now. Here's the final result. I have the toolbox here mounted to the front of the camper, and it is solid. If you look inside, I have all my setup equipment, some locks, a jack. I can lock that up, open it easy. I remounted the regulator. It's a little bit lower. It's down here now. It's right here. I can still use the same lines. Everything's still working fine down in here. All I do is put a cover over it and see how it looks now. And here's the final result with the vinyl cover over the tanks. This is a vinyl cover. It's made to look like metal almost. And the zippered part is here. I can still zipper it and get into it if I need to. But anyway, here's the toolbox from this angle. And the tanks. So I'm pretty happy with the result. So here's a completed project. Leave a comment in the comments section if you think the toolbox is maybe just a little bit too long. Some campgrounds are pretty tight when you make turns. We think it'll be okay, but we never know. So please subscribe if you haven't already. Give us a thumbs up if you're so inclined. And catch us on the next video.